wanted their city to be really famous. Do you know what famous means? Aegean Sea. Can you see Aegean Sea? Ancient Greece, Macedonia. Can you find the word today on there? Yeah, it starts with the T. Welcome to our homeschool week. We are currently in cycle 1, week 6. In this video, I show you moments throughout our week, how we do our Bible study time, and some games and activities we do to practice the classical memory work. I'm also excited to share with you some of our all-time favorite picture books that we read over and over again. And let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth.
No.
Do you think that was good, what they were doing?
No.
They wanted their tower to reach the heavens. This week we are reading about the Tower of Babel in our Bible study, and my girls were so curious about why did the people build this tower and why did God not like it? They wanted their city to be really famous. Do you know what famous means?
No.
Everybody would know it. I love that we don't have to rush our Bible study time in the morning. If my girls are especially curious, we can linger and spend more time. That's one of my favorite things about homeschooling. I also give them a coloring page while I continue reading our Bible study. This gives them something to work on and helps them listen while I continue to read. We serve. Good job. Humbly thinking. Good job. One of my favorite habits that we've started is going over one of Sally and Clay Clarkson's 24 family ways each day. I do a family way each week and a Bible verse that goes along with it that we memorize as a family. These are an awesome way to teach our children biblical truths in a way that's simple and that they can understand. Do you know what letter that is?
F.
F. What starts with F?
Fit.
God is faithful. Do you know what faithful means? It means he does what he says. Another thing we've started doing is using these attributes of God letter cards from Driven by Grace. They're awesome, especially for my 3-year-old. She's learning her letters, and to learn about attributes of God at the same time is so good. What did you get?
We got 5.
So number 5 is roads. Can you guys say roads?
Whoa.
Roads like a road. We are learning about ancient Greece this week, and on Mondays we usually focus on geography. So we are playing this fun dice game that I made where the girls throw a die, and whatever number they get, we find the corresponding spot on their map, and they try to remember what it's called. So we're spicing it up a little bit today and adding some jumping down the stairs in the basement to make the game a little bit more fun. Aegean Sea. Can you see Aegean Sea?
Aegean.
Ancient Greece, Macedonia. Greece, Aegean Sea, Crete and Rhodes. In history this week, we learned about the ancient Greeks, and my girls are decorating these vase templates I made for them because art was very important in ancient Greece, and vases were often made for the wealthy families. We also read that the most popular vases were red and black. The famous poet, Pythagoras the famous. Remember how that ends? I also made this ancient Greeks maze that my daughter is working on, so she connects Homer to poet, Socrates to philosopher, Pythagoras to mathematician, and Archimedes to inventor. So it's a fun way for her to practice the history sentence. Can you find the word today on there? Yeah, it starts with a T. Good job! Can you put that dice on there? I'm also having my daughter do a little bit of math. We're doing the good and the beautiful. Sometimes we do this for just a few minutes, sometimes not at all, and sometimes we're able to do it longer. I hold it pretty loosely right now since she's so young. Now I'm reading to my girls from the book Ancient Greece by Nick Pierce as they color their timeline coloring pages. I get these from Scribblers and CC Connected, and we are hanging them up on the wall every week as they color them to start our own timeline, which I think is really fun.
Greek armies were brave and strong, and scholars were clever.
Very nice homers. Well, I'm going to check out these big cats. Sounds good, I said. I'll catch up in a minute. Eli, don't you want to see the lions, my friend Corey asked? For science this week, I found several books that were awesome about vertebrates, so we read a lot. My daughter colors the Scribblers coloring page with different vertebrates on it, and we play our invertebrates vertebrates domino game, which my daughter is loving, and it's just really good to help us learn how to distinguish between an invertebrate and a vertebrate. I also do a reading lesson with my daughter, and we go outside because it is so nice right now. I am using All About Reading Level 1, and it's really good. It's helping her get better at sounding out words. She's really good at memorizing, so she's getting better at reading just by memorizing the words, which is great and part of it, but I want her to really learn how to sound out words well too.
1, 2, 3. Ooh, I bet you could figure that out all on your own. What comes after?
I usually save Fridays just for anything we haven't gotten to previously in the week. We usually do some skip counting practice, and I have these activities for the 11s and 12s that my daughter is working on. Now I want to share with you some picture books that we love. They are classic, beautiful stories, beautiful illustrations, timeless. We read them over and over again, and I just thought I would share with you some of our favorites, and if you haven't read any of these, I would highly recommend them. What I share with you is called Miss Rumphius. This is a really sweet story about a little girl named Alice, and one day she's talking to her grandfather and telling him all the things she wants to do when she grows up. And he says, well, that's fine, but there's something else you need to do. And she says, what's that? And he says, you need to do something to make the world more beautiful. And the rest of the story is about how she does that. The next book I want to share is Make Way for Ducklings by Robert McCloskey. This is a story about a duck family. Mrs. Mallard is the mama duck, and she is looking for a safe home for her family, and just their adventure, some dangers they avoid, and where they end up settling. Any book by Robert McCloskey is so good. I would highly recommend. This is another one by Robert McCloskey called One Morning in Maine, a really sweet story about Sal and her little sister Jane. I love these My First Little House books too. They're perfect for preschool age children, and they're great for learning how to read too. So if you're a big fan of Little House on the Prairie, these would be perfect for your small children. There's lots of different stories, and they're all just really, really sweet stories and very family centered. This is one of my favorite books I've read with my kids. This is such a sweet story, beautiful illustrations, very centered on God. I love reading this. If you haven't read this one, you should definitely get it. It's called This I Know by Clay Anderson, and as you can see, it's just beautiful and such good truths in this book too. We have several of these picture books by Jan Brett, and they have beautiful illustrations too, wonderful stories. I love it too how she tells a story around the edges of the story too, so you have to really pay attention. There's so much going on the sides and on the top of each page. So creative and engaging. This is another beautiful story by Jan Brett called Fritz and the Beautiful Horses. It's about a pony named Fritz who proves that his inner beauty is much more valuable than physical appearance. We are huge Curious George book fans. They kind of all have the same storyline. George gets curious and gets into some kind of trouble, but his heart's in the right place and he usually saves the day. They're really great stories, very clean, like there's nothing ever bad in them. I love this book called Homeschool PJ Time by Andrea Salzman. It's perfect, especially if you're in classical conversations, because it's basically what our life looks like during the week. I wanted to show this one too called Goodnight Ark. This is especially great for younger kids. I hope you've enjoyed getting a peek into our homeschool week and seeing some of our favorite books that we read over and over again. If you are enjoying my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I post 2 videos per week about homeschooling, tutor ideas, and healthy living. Have a wonderful day and thank you so much for watching.